Do you think your father was too strict?
Yes. No, he's gonna kill me.
He's gonna get you still worried about that at your age?
If he hit me, I would hit him back, which was terrible. I would run around the house and hide, but I would really get it more than anybody.
When you would be practicing, you were very heavily disciplined by your father. What was that like?
And if you miss a step, expect to be,
How often would he beat you?
too much.
Would he only use a belt?
Why do you do this to me?
It was an entirely different lifestyle at home.
Well, what was it like at home?
It was very, very hard. My father was very strict. He beat us. My brothers were grown, and my father would take his fist and he would punch them and knock them down the steps constantly.
Would they provoke
to this
him?
day, no, of course not. To this day, they are still afraid of my father, and they will tell you.
Your relationship with your father, is he predominantly a good man, do you think? How would you position him?
I think my father means well. I just think that the way he went about certain things wasn't the best way. So
You tell a story in the book, one occasion you cite when you're getting out of the bathtub and he whacks you. How old were you then?
I was very young. I remember being younger than 8, let me put it like that. I can't remember if I truly deserved it.
But he was not a child abuser or beating us. I mean, that's the term they use, but any black family out there can relate to. If you did something wrong, you got to whip it.
Did regurgitated, he regurgitated all the way to the bank, you know.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be formatted very differently. As you will probably realize, my face is not going to be in this video, mostly because I am following a script for this video, and as you know, or you may not know, I don't know, I'm not going to memorize my entire script. I already did film an actual face video with this script, and I had my own way of making it look like I'm not actively looking at my script, but I scrapped it and I decided to kind of format it this way. I feel like it'll be a little bit easier for me to edit, at least I would hope so. But yeah, this is going to be a more serious video, so I'm going to give you guys some disclaimers before we get started. There's going to be some talks of abuse, child abuse, sexual child abuse, and some trauma, infidelity. But if any of that makes you uncomfortable, you know, I would understand if you wanted to click off. But I just kind of wanted to, you know, talk about that and give you the disclaimer for that. Let's get started with this video. So today we're going to be talking about Joe Jackson, aka Michael Jackson's dad, honestly the father of all of the Jackson siblings. A lot of people have different opinions on this man, and mine aren't good opinions at all. I have nothing good to say about this man, but a lot of people do have good things to say about Joseph. This video essay is just going to be me talking about Joseph Jackson and kind of the drama that he caused with not only Michael, but, you know, the rest of the siblings and things like that. But this video will cater more to Michael because I feel like Michael had the worst trauma response. Not worst as in, you know, bad, but, you know, I feel like he was affected by it the most. Of course, I'm not downplaying the other Jacksons' trauma with it, but they're very much blasé about everything and what went down. And then with Michael, you know, he was very open and honest about how he felt and how it was, especially later in his life. And so yeah, that's why I think Michael truly kind of, it hit him the hardest. But anyway, so let's get going. You may already know who Joseph Jackson is, but for those who don't, Joseph Jackson was the father of 9 kids, one of his kids being Michael Jackson, the greatest entertainer of all time. He was married to Catherine Screws, making her a Jackson. Joe worked in the steel mill, providing for his big family. Then Joseph discovered something. His children had talent. Joseph had been in a band called the Falcons. It was short-lived, lasted for about a year or two, but once finding out his children had talents of their own, Joseph had a vision to get them out of Gary. Unfortunately, though, there was a price attached, the price being a stolen childhood. Like I already said, this video is mostly going to be talking about Michael and what Michael had to endure, his trauma, and how it was carried with him up until his death. But of course, I'll be referencing all of the Jackson kids, but Michael seemed to have been affected by it the most. And I'll kind of elaborate on that. In my opinion, the reason why I say Michael took it harder than his other siblings was because he was more sensitive than the others. Michael was different from his siblings. While his brothers would chase out the girls, hook up with them, and just do more adult things in general, Michael just kind of stayed in the background. Michael wasn't necessarily the type to get into that. Joe would have them working nightclubs, so they would see nudity all the time. And in my opinion, that is a sight that no 7-year-old should see. And Michael was surrounded by adults all his life.
Do you feel grown up? I've been around grown people, since I was 5. I mean, on tour, backstage with all the musicians and the singers, and I feel grown up for all my life.
Having to do adult things such as work. He and his brothers would rehearse, record, perform, and repeat. And, Joe didn't really allow them breaks or even a hiatus. Joe saw them as moneymakers, and, that's just my opinion, but I'll go more into depth with that later. So first things first is we're going to get started on Joe's abusive behavior. So he was very abusive in every sense of the word, physically, emotionally, and according to LaToya, sexually. Now the last bit is alleged, but to be honest, I wouldn't put it past him. Michael would describe the abuse in great detail as he got older, versus before he wouldn't even scratch the surface. He would only describe Joe as really strict, and even with that term, he was scared to say it out loud to the public. And here's a clip of Michael saying it.
Do you think your father was too strict?
Yes. No, he's gonna kill me.
Well, he feels that he was strict.
I'm glad he said it. Now I'll say it, yes. Did he?
People like to chop up Joe's ways as discipline or old school, but I'm sorry, beating your kids to the point of knocking them unconscious is not discipline.
No more than a belt. Ironing cords, whatever's around. Throw you up against the wall as hard as you could. Remember hearing my mother scream, "Joe, you're gonna kill him, you're gonna kill him, stop it, you're gonna kill him," and I was so fast, he couldn't catch me half the time, but when he would catch me, oh my God.
I would come home, he would come home from sessions and we didn't do something right, and we would get beat with a sack full of wet sand because it didn't leave bruises. People in the business, people in the Motown family, they knew what was going on. I mean, if we did something wrong and Joseph was there, he'd slap the mess out of us. They knew what was going on, but it's like, you have to portray this certain image. Joseph is dangerous.
Michael would describe Joe throwing them against the wall, almost breaking Michael's arm, stripping them down just to cover them in oil so they wouldn't get bruises from beatings, and hitting his kids with anything he saw fit, whether that be a stick, wire cords, or a belt.
It is rough. The way he would beat you was, was hard. Sometimes they make you strip nude first. He would oil you down. Your whole ritual, he would oil you down. So when the foot of the ironing cord hit you, which is, and it was just like me dying, and you just put all over your face, your back, everywhere. And I always hear my mother back, "No, Joe, you're gonna kill him, no." I would just give up. Like there was nothing I could do,
Jackie got it the worst, because Jackie was the oldest boy. Marie, I just got it. You got it, you mean like the beating, sir? Yeah, but Jackie used to get it the worst. Yeah, I was the one that would fight back when I was wrong. He tried to beat me and stuff like that. Because I sang the wrong, I didn't do something right, I did the wrong dance, whatever, the wrong move. And I would argue back and I would fight back. And we have big brothers to sit there and watch? Yeah. They were scared of him, and I threw a shoe at him and stuff. And I'd wear myself. He couldn't catch me, you know. And he knocked me down on the floor one time because we were rehearsing in our living room. I did something wrong. He knocked the mess out of me. And we were supposed to perform somewhere the next day. And he knocked me down so hard, I lost my wind, right? And I was just little. I was just abused all the time. When we were rehearsing 2300, where we used to live, it's like, if I danced wrong, if I sang the wrong note, I get the hell beat out of me. I get thrown in the basement.
Did he ever beat you? Yes, he did.
It's not even the case that they did something wrong. It could be as little as singing the wrong note or stepping in the wrong place, and they'd earn a beating. It was so severe, Catherine thought Joe was going to kill them. Yeah, that's more than discipline to me. Even if they did something quote-unquote wrong, that kind of extreme punishment is still abuse. Not only did Joe beat his kids, he bullied Michael. Now, I have no clue if he did the same to the other kids, but to my knowledge, he only did this to Michael.
Randy grew up in it because Randy's been really cool, okay? And Randy grew up with Joseph telling him, because Randy was the youngest boy. And, I've been performing since I was 5. And Randy had to stay home with the girl. With Reed, toys, Jack, the baby, and then Joseph always told Randy, you're not good enough. You don't have talent for this.
He told him that?
Yes.
Because he was so little.
Yeah. And then we, tried to bring Randy into the group, and he felt like he was like, when Jermaine left, when Jermaine decided to stay with Motown, we went on to Epic and stuff. And Randy was always told he was a villain.
Joe would say Michael had a big nose, or he was too black to be his son, or that he was ugly.
I had pimples so badly, and it made me so shy. I used to not look at myself. I'd wash my face in the dark. I wouldn't want to look in the mirror. Really? And my father teased me, and I just hated it. I cried every day because of it.
Your father would tease you about your
pimples?
pimples?
He would tell me I'm ugly.
Your father would say
Yes,
that?
he would. Sorry, Joseph.
Yeah.
I would turn off all the lights, and because I had pimples really badly.
Your father and your brothers tease you about your appearance as an adolescent?
My father did, and some cousins did.
What did your father say?
Oh, God. Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing. He would tease me about how I looked, and he would say, well, you didn't get it from my side of the family. It must have been on Kate. Kate, he would always say, meaning my mother. You didn't get that from me.
Is it true that your father used to say you had a fat nose?
Yeah.
What did he say? What did he actually say?
God, your nose is big. You didn't get it from me.
What does that do to someone who's going through adolescence?
You want to die.
And Joseph told me, oh, you're so black, or you have such a big nose.
He told you you were black?
Yes, when I was little. You are so black. You don't look like my child. Your nose is so big and this and that. They used to call me Big Nose and stuff. And instead of retaliating on them, I just did it with myself.
That stayed with Michael, especially when Michael was becoming a teenager. The very normal puberty stage would rear its head. Joe wasn't the only one who made fun of his appearance, but fans. They loved the little Michael. Some people forgot that these kids don't stay young. They grow up. People wouldn't even recognize Michael because he had gotten taller and he had acne. They would grimace at the sight of him or be in denial that it was even Michael.
I remember, I think it was somewhere like Virginia or something. And some lady recognized my brothers and all of us. She goes, oh my God, it's the Jackson 5. Where's little Michael? Where's little Michael? She's looking around, looking down. Where's little Michael? And another person goes, there he is. And she goes, ugh, what happened? Just like that. And God, I just could have died right there.
That he carried with him too. Michael's first nose job was because he broke his nose dancing. This was around the late 70s, but the second one was when he made the conscious choice to get a nose job. Now, despite what everyone thinks, not all of Michael's nose jobs were necessarily on purpose. The first couple, yes, but after that he would constantly have to repair the skin around the nose because having lupus did not work well with the scar tissue. He wanted to make his nose look somewhat normal. Michael also had a cleft done in his chin, but that was it. And you can read Michael's book, which he admits to that. I know some of you watching do not believe that for 1 second, but let me put this into perspective. As you grow up, your body changes and your features are no exception. As Michael grew older, his chin and cheekbones became more defined. Are you going to say that when someone loses weight, they got plastic surgery because their cheekbones are more defined? No. Take Alexa Demi, for example. When she first started Euphoria, she was not only younger, but she had more fat in her face. Then the third season came around, and she's not just older, she lost some weight. Her cheekbones and jawline are much more defined. plus the makeup she wears, and to my knowledge, she has not gotten any work done. It's simply your body changing, and personally I believe that was Michael's situation too, including the makeup. Michael's weight wasn't too consistent either, so when Michael was super skinny, that showed a lot in his face, especially when he was older. So if you compare Michael from, let's say, Thriller to the last couple of years of his life, you won't see that much of a difference. Keep in mind, most of these photos that make Michael look like he got so much stuff done or over the top or most likely edited or taken at a certain angle. And two, the flashes of the camera can exaggerate your features too.
Kind of, you know, you physically changed, haven't you? The photographs of you, if I look at them
No, it's called adolescence. It's called growing and changing.
Yeah, but even the shape of your face has changed.
No, it has not. I've had no plastic surgery on my face, just my nose. It helped me breathe better so I can hit higher notes.
So I can understand why you wanted to change your appearance.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want.
Just that though, not the whole face, just the nose. They try to say, why do you keep changing it? It's not true. It's just the nose, you know?
Even though the shape of the face is different.
Because I've changed.
How have you changed?
I was a little kid.
I'm talking about pictures of you in your 20s.
No, I was changing.
If you see a candid photo of Michael from when he was in his 40s and compare it to when he was in his 20s, there's no difference except for his nose and chin. So the root of Michael getting his nose done was because of Joseph. Joe and many others put it in his head that his nose was big, and if you're hearing that as a kid, / teenager, that shit sticks with you. Insecurities are no joke. And two, even in the Glenda tapes, Michael, talks to Glenda about these surgeries. She asks him if he likes what his face looks like and that he likes what he got done, and he said basically he didn't want to look like Joseph. So that's also another thing to add in there.
Are you happy?
Yeah. I'm happy with my face. So.
Are you happy to know?
Yeah. Because I don't want to look like
No, you don't.
Anyways, we diverted a little bit, but let's get back on track. We're going to touch on the sexual abuse briefly because I think it's important to mention. LaToya accused Joseph of molesting her and her sister Rebe. Rebe denied it, and so did everyone else except Michael. LaToya wrote it in her book. This is one of my criticisms about the Jackson family, is that they were so adamant about having the perfect family image, when in reality, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't a perfect family at all. It was quite dysfunctional. So I wouldn't be surprised that when LaToya came out with these claims, they wanted to protect their image. Now, LaToya never recanted these claims, though. She seemed to forgive her father and aimed for a better relationship, which personally, if my father molested me, I would never forgive him nor want a relationship with him. But considering how religious and forgiving the Jackson family is, I guess that's her choice to make.
Have accepted the book, and they understand. They understand about the abuse. There wasn't just physical abuse, it was also mental abuse, which is very disturbing, and also sexual abuse as well. I touch it very lightly because it's a very touchy subject, and it's dealing with my sister, and I wasn't able to talk about myself just yet. You have to be ready to come out and talk about these things. And it's a very sad story because Rebe is a wonderful person, I must say, and she left home at a very young age. She left home when she was, I think it was 16 years old. And the reason she left is because my father would get out of bed with my mother, and he would get into bed with Rebe. And Rebe would ask my mother, please, mother, get help for him. And she wouldn't. She would not. So Rebe had to leave home. There were times, of course, when my mother would say, Joe, not tonight. Leave her alone. Let her rest. Don't get into bed with her. And then Rebe called me, and she said to me, she says, LaToya, I have a question I want to ask you. I said, what is it, Rebe? And she said, when I left home all these years, and this is just recent, all these years, I wondered if Joseph ever sexually abused you the way he did me. Was it happening with you and Janet? And I couldn't answer her. And she says, please tell me. And I wouldn't. It's things that you don't talk about. And she says, LaToya, you have to tell me. And I said, Rebe, there are just certain things you don't talk about, isn't there? And she says, okay, I understand. And that's when she asked me about Janet. And I said, I don't know what happened to Janet.
But what about you, LaToya? Did he sexually abuse you?
Yes, he did. Very badly, yes. My father, it began with me when Rebe left, and then it started with me.
So when did you decide that you were going to talk about it?
You live with this all your life, and you feel that you're doing something wrong, and you're frightened when this is happening to you. And you're embarrassed. I have been embarrassed all my life to ever talk about it, to mention it, shy, afraid that people can see through me and see that this is happening.
It's like the Jackson family, they're so wholesome in this. We all took pictures together back in the 75 years or so. We were all so close, and Joseph was, Papa Joe, And then Toya told the truth. Try everything, because that's publicity. The Jackson family, they lived in a ghetto in Gary, Indiana, and they made it, and they're so tight-knit, my ass.
I must mention, LaToya had been married to an abusive husband, Jack Gordon. He forced her to pose for Playboy, would have physically abused her heavily, and even had her speak out against her own brother, Michael.
They said you don't move out until you get married. When I did leave home, I left with my manager, who became my husband. But what I did know, he was not a good guy. When I left home, I was innocent, I was naive. It was so easy for me to be taken advantage of. I was brainwashed by him. I really felt like a robot. I was being beaten. He dictated my career choices. I mean, they went from Playboy to writing a book. He made me say the things that he wanted me to say in my interviews. He had very strong ties and connection to the mafia. I knew John Gotti, I knew all these people. But one day I couldn't take it anymore. And it was just, you're gonna do porno now. No, now you can kill me. That was the day. I finally made it out. I escaped. Catch me if you can.
She has recanted those statements, though. So I honestly don't know if Jack forced her into accusing her father, but she didn't take back her claims, so that could only mean one thing. Ruby to this day has denied it ever happened. And I also would like to insert this as well, is there's this clip from LaToya's reality TV show where she was talking to her old friend Kathy, I believe her name was, and Kathy asked LaToya if she was a virgin. Sounds very familiar. And LaToya just starts breaking down, crying, and she says, "How can you do this to me? How can you ask me that?" And to me, that seemed like it was such a trigger to LaToya. And to me, that's low-key a telling sign that she was, to some degree, either that be by Joe or, Jack Gordon or something. So I don't know. Because to me, if you're going to be asked that question, I feel like if you don't really have trauma with sex, I feel like you would not respond in that way. But it's the fact that LaToya responded in such a manner with literal tears in her eyes, breaking down. I feel like there has been some sexual trauma in her life, again, whether that be from Joe or Jack or anybody. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to include that as well.
Are you a virgin?
How could you ask me that question?
I just want to know. I want to know.
I'm a gentleman.
Come on, honey.
Don't ask me that question. Please don't do that to me. Why would you do that to me?
Gloria, come here.
Please don't ask me.
Oh my goodness. What's going on?
Now, I'm going to circle back to Joe and his obsession with image and making money. Ever since Joe saw that his kids can make it big and give them a better life, Joe didn't see them as his kids, but as moneymakers. Now, I'm not going to say Joe absolutely did not love his kids, because I would like to believe that he did, in fact, love them, but he never showed it or said it, which affected Michael greatly. Michael longed to not only have a childhood, but to have a father who hugged him, kissed him, played with him, and even say the words, "I love you."
Children today, when I was little, and I look at my father and say, "Okay, Daddy, Joseph, what are we going to do today?" You know what that would have meant to me? You go, "Well, you want to go to the movies?" That's great. That would have meant so much to me, too.
You begin to feel that you were like a money-making machine for him? Yeah. I'll never forget one day he said, "You guys ever stop thinking I'll drop you like a hot potato?" That's what he said. It hurt me. You don't say that to children, and I never forgot it. I never felt love from him, and he never hold me or touch me. He said, "Why are you scared of me?" And I couldn't answer. I said, "Joseph, do you know what you've done? Do you know what you've done to me?"
Michael even said Joe would tell them, "If you ever stop singing, I'm gonna drop you like a hot potato." If that doesn't say 1,000 words, then I don't know what does. Because too, Michael would say multiple times, whether that be in his book or, in the Oprah interview, Michael never really knew Joseph in the way that he wanted to. And, that really affected him, clearly.
I love my father, but I don't know him. Mm-hmm. Are you angry with him for doing that? I think that's pretty cruel, actually.
Am I angry with him?
Because adolescence is hard enough without a parent
difficult.
telling you that you're ugly.
Yes, very difficult. Am I angry with him? Sometimes I do get angry, yes. I don't know him the way I'd like to know him. My mother's wonderful. To me, she's perfection. I just wish I could understand my father.
But even in Michael's death, Joe said that we lost the greatest entertainer of all time, which is true, but coming from his father, that was your son. Referred to him as that.
You want to tell the last couple of days, I know it's been really tough for you guys.
And? Yeah, it has. It has been really tough. Remember, we just lost the biggest star in the world, superstar in the world, so it's been tough.
Okay, this is written on behalf of Mr. Jackson and the family. Our family sincerely thanks all of you around the world for your love and support during our time of grief.
You said your wife is how? What about Janet and the rest of the family, the daughters? And
they're all doing fine. But I want to make this statement. This is a real good statement here. Marshall and I We owned a record company called
Ranch Records.
Right.
Okay, distributed by Blu-ray Technology. And that's his next step.
Joe also used this opportunity to promote a record label. Personally, that should be the last thing we talk about. Even though Michael wanted to branch out, go solo, officially, Joe kept him on a tight and short leash. When Off the Wall came out, Michael was still in the Jacksons, but Off the Wall was his best solo album at the time. Though it didn't meet his expectations in sales nor success, he wanted the best-selling album of all time. He wanted to be the best there was, and he achieved it. Even after Thriller, Joe still had Michael go on tour with his brothers. Michael did not want to do it. He wanted free from Joe's grasps, but ultimately he was convinced and toured with his brothers on the Victory Tour. The tour only consisted of 55 shows lasting about 5 months, July through December. Mind you, Michael had just been burned in January of '84, just 6 months before the tour. He suffered 2nd and 3rd degree burns on his scalp, and they had him go on tour, most likely in pain. Joe wanted to go bigger though. He wanted them to tour the world. Michael would not let that happen though. He announced on stage at the final show that this was going to be their last tour as a group.
I'd like to say this is our last and final tour. I think this is our farewell tour. Y'all been wonderful. It's been a long 20 years, and we love you all.
That was Michael finally standing up to his father and taking control of his life. From then on, Michael continued to sell millions of records, tour the world, and be loved by billions. This leads to the argument of if it wasn't for Joe, there would be no Michael Jackson. I do not like this statement at all, and that is because it is simply not true. Sure, Joe put his kids' foot in the door with music and performance, but Joe did not make Michael Jackson.
If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be where you are today.
Somebody said? She did it today?
He always says that.
Oh my God.
He always tells us that. Well, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be where you are. If it wasn't for me, you would be Michael Jackson superstar. You would be into that, And I told him he's not going to be that pretty fight. I said, that's halfway true. I said, but you know what? I said, I grew up in this business and I learned a lot. You had a lot to do with it in the beginning, and I thank you for that, but I can't take you back for the rest of my life. I said, I know the business. I told him before, I said, don't count on that. I know the business better than you, so.
Joe did not beat talent into Michael. He has always possessed it. Michael had always studied the greats, learned more and more every day. He was an amazing writer of songs, stories, and poems. Michael had all this pent-up energy and drive to create, but he was held back.
There's other kinds of sounds and music that I love to do. It hurts what is inside of me and it can't get out, and it's hidden from the world.
Once Michael went solo from Off the Wall and onward, he finally felt that freedom to create what he wanted. Once Michael was free, there was no stopping him. Michael had finally taken control of his life, and to me, that is the biggest fuck you to his dad. Maybe he didn't mean it in that way, but that's how I see it. He showed Joe that he didn't need him to be successful. He could perfectly execute it on his own. Michael fired Joseph once, he went solo. And, ultimately, Janet followed suit. Her first couple albums flopped because she wasn't fully in control. Joe was her manager, but once she fired him, hired some good producers, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, her first successful album, Control, was born. Michael and Janet are the perfect examples of the complete opposite of the "if it wasn't for Joe" statement. They were living proof that they can handle their own without him. They already had it inside them. They were just finally free from Joe's shackles. Now, Joseph was not above cheating. He had cheated on Catherine multiple times, especially while him and the boys were on tour. Joe even had a child with another woman. Catherine's kid did not take kindly to this other child except for Rebe, which I don't blame them for a second. Of course, it wasn't Giovanni's fault that she was born in this circumstance, but don't accept your half-siblings to like you when their dad cheated on their mom. Having a whole-ass child. Catherine's children adored her, especially Michael. Catherine wasn't perfect by any means, at least to me. To Michael, she was perfection, but it's just a shame that she hadn't stopped Joe's abuse. But maybe she was getting abused too. I don't know, who knows. Catherine, though, is a sweet and forgiving person. Anyway, Catherine was close to filing for divorce. Even Michael and the kids wanted her to. But due to her beliefs, she did not go through with it. Michael reported to be disgusted with his father because he knew Joe would sleep with other women.
I see my brothers, we were traveling and stuff, doing circuits and all that. Joseph would be messing with a girl, and it was obvious they were having sex. I didn't want to tell Mother, Marlon and I didn't want to tell them, but other brothers kind of did the same thing. I remember, like I told you before, when Marlon and I had to share a room with Jermaine, and they always would say, Jermaine, we have girls up there all the time doing this stuff. I always said, yeah, Marlon said the same thing. I felt so guilty when we used to come home from the circuit and stuff, before we made the office for the club circuit and stuff. I felt so guilty, and I just cried. And Joseph tripped and stuff and broke my arm and did. But he was proud of it. It's like, oh, this is what you should do, boy. I mean, he didn't know that, but he was screwing women in the other room and stuff. She and the girls would be in there, waiting back at the house. Oh, what happened? It was just Joseph would come home, just so glad to see Mother. It just made you sick.
So not only was Joe an abuser, but a serial cheater. Especially on a woman he had nine children with. The real catcher was that he allowed this daughter to call him dad. His other 9 children weren't even allowed.
Yeah, Joseph never used to hug us. Mother did. What about that other child? Giovanni. Yeah. Oh yeah, he doesn't have any problems. He never had any problems showing. He hugged her and stuff. I never could understand that. It's bizarre.
He has his own way of doing things. That's Joseph.
Why do y'all call him Joseph?
Oh, I can't believe you're asking me this. Because it's bringing back I remember when I had called him Daddy, and he said, no, you call me Joseph. I'm Joseph to you. I never said it again.
You remember how old you were?
I was very young. Younger than 10, younger than 9. So I don't know why, and I've never questioned it. It is what it is, and I've just let it go. Joseph.
And he didn't allow us to call him Daddy. And I wanted to call him Daddy so bad. He said, I'm not Daddy, I'm Joseph to you,
Since they were Jehovah's Witness, they didn't celebrate birthdays, Christmases, nothing. But Joe treated Giovanni like a princess. He treated her how Michael and his siblings wanted to be treated. With love, softness, and care. They didn't get that, but she did. Janet was going to give Giovanni a chance, like how Ruby did. But once Giovanni referred to Joseph as Daddy or Dad, Janet got upset and stormed out, rightfully so. She was never allowed to even utter that word. They would get yelled at or hit if they did. So yeah, I understand why the Jackson family does not fuck with her. Giovanni is a whole other topic of discussion, but I digress. I think how Joe treated Giovanni versus his talented children says a lot. He saw his 9 kids as money machines, but Giovanni, she was a normal, everyday child. He didn't need to extort her. He was already doing it with Michael and his other 8 children. To me, that is all he cared about. That was the number 1 priority. Not loving them in a way a father should, but making sure they were out there to perform and perform well, or they would get a beating they couldn't forget. I'm now going to talk about Michael as an individual and the trauma he carried throughout his entire life. But before I go on with that, I will say that everyone processes trauma differently. Michael had his way and his siblings had theirs. I will go into depth about Michael, but first I'm going to talk about his siblings. Jackie, Jermaine, Tito, lightly on Tito, and Randy has gotten into some interesting situations. Allegedly, Jackie had abused his first wife and some infidelity was present, which is unfortunate. Seeing Jackie now in present times, I couldn't imagine that. They were together from 1974 to 1987. Of course, I would like to think Jackie is a new man, especially as a 75-year-old. But this goes to show that his childhood clearly had some impact on how he grew up. Granted, he wasn't that young when they started the Jackson 5. He was only 13, but 13 is still a child. Now, Jermaine. He had a total of 3 wives. His first being Hazel Gordy, the daughter of Berry Gordy of Motown. He had cheated on her multiple times. Hazel finally for divorce. Then he married Alejandra, who happened to be Randy's ex-girlfriend and baby mama. Yeah, Jermaine married her and had 5 children with said woman. Jermaine is a whole mess. Then finally he married a woman named Alima Rashid for about 12 years. No children. And now Jermaine, at 71 years old, is now engaged, I believe, to a 27-year-old woman with a 3-year-old son. I'm no psychiatrist, but Jermaine's infidelities definitely was rooted in a way he grew up around Joe. Jermaine was known to sleep around with groupies as well. Randy, he is a troubled man as well. Randy had been arrested for misdemeanor battery on his then wife, Eliza Shafi, and their 14-month-old daughter. And that happened in 1991. Randy had also abused Bernadette Swan, a girl he was dating at the time who was a friend of Tina Turner. She had ran to Tina's house saying Randy was abusing her, and, Randy broke into Tina's house and she shot at him in defense, as she should. This happened in the 80s. Randy had also rammed into Michael's gates of his home, demanding to be paid because Michael had supposedly owed him money. Mind you, Randy offered to help Michael with the trial, and all of a sudden Michael owes him money? That's crazy. And this happened in the late 2000s. Dee Dee, Tito's first wife, had fallen victim to infidelity. Tito was obviously in the wrong for cheating, but his situation is quite tame compared to his brothers. R.I.P. Tito, by the way. But these violent and scummy actions done by 4 out of 6 brothers says a lot. To me, how they grew up and the trauma they endured turned them into abusers themselves. Only referring to Jackie and Randy in that context. The cheating and lying from Joe still rubbed off on these 4 brothers. In some cases, kids see this kind of behavior and think it's okay to do because their parents are doing it. But it had the opposite effect on Michael. Now the sisters. Unfortunately, Janet and LaToya were victims of abuse rather than the abuser, allegedly Rebe too, at the hands of her own father. Now, from what I see, they sort of masked the trauma they endured. The sisters and brothers, excluding Michael, didn't consider Joe's behavior as abusive, just discipline.
To the way he was, but he was not a child abuser or beating us. I mean, that's the term they use, but any black family out there can relate to. If you did something wrong, you got to whip him.
Wrong, Joe didn't whip him all the time, but he punished him sometimes. And if it was bad enough, then they would get punishment. But this playing up that he was a very, very, child abuser, that's not true. He was victim. That's the way it was back then. I imagine that's the way his folks raised him. That's the way my parents raised me, and I really thank them for it.
I got a whipping all the time, Teach at school, but, I come home, told my parents that I got a whipping at school, then they whipped me too. So I got a lot of whippings.
Janet did say at the time it was considered quote-unquote old school, but that in present day it could be abusive.
Others have said, oh, he was just old school. Which was he to you?
I think it's old school. And that may extrapolate into being a little abusive. Do you understand what I'm saying?
She said this in an interview in the 2000s. The Jackson siblings honestly think Joe. That includes Michael as well. That's their dad. They can process their trauma how they want. They have the right to forgive him or see their father in a different light, not that they grew up.
Now he's so different now. He wants to be a better father. God bless my father because he did some wonderful things and he was brilliant. He was a genius. I just wish he had learned that earlier. Why are you so scared of him? Because the scar is still there. So I'm like an angel in front of him. I'm not scared.
But I do love him.
Yes, I understand.
And I am forgiving.
Yes.
And I totally forgive him for all of it, You have to. But I don't allow my children to call me Michael. I say I'm daddy. It's just the opposite. So when people say the abuse, that's not true. That's not true at all.
Because too, I believe the brain blocking out how bad it was is a trauma response. Either that or they genuinely did not see it as abuse, which is kind of crazy to me. Because Michael was the only one who saw it that way. To me, the Jackson family downplaying Joe's abusive behavior is kind of a slap in the face to Michael. Michael bared his soul, opening up what he went through, and just for his family to chop it up to old school discipline? No, that will never sit right with me. Finally, after all that, let's talk about Michael. Now, Michael had the total opposite response to his trauma. Instead of taking his feelings out on other people, he inflicted it on himself. And, I'm specifically talking about his plastic surgeries.
The only thing that I could control in my life was Motown, was eating. I had no control. We had no control. I wasn't like my brothers. They were angry and they take it out on others. I was angry and hurt, and I took it out on myself.
But besides that, Michael never had the desire of hurting other people, especially children. He grew up without a loving father. Instead, he got beat and bullied. Michael is a case of the abused not continuing the behavior. but being better than that. Because of his childhood, he wanted to compensate for what he lost.
And Suzanne had some interesting theories about your childhood. We talked about whether or not it was really lost. Was it?
Well, especially now, I come to realize, and then I would do my schooling, which was 3 hours with a tutor. Then right after that, I'd go to the recording studio and record. And I'd record for hours and hours till it was time to go to sleep. So it'd be nighttime. And I remember going to the recording studio. There was a park across the street, and I'd see all the children playing, and they'd be rooting and making noise, and I would cry. It'd make me sad that I would have to go and work instead.
Suzanne said it was a heavy price. I want to know how big of a price it was, losing your childhood or having this kind of life.
Well, you don't get to do things that other children get to do. The simple things that they so much take for granted. Having friends and slumber parties and buddies and just hanging out. There was none of that for me. I didn't have any friends when I was little. My brothers were my friends.
Was there ever a place where, because children, I remember playing games and talking to myself and playing with my dolls and all that. Was there, and I think every child needs a place to escape into a child's world, into a child's imagination. Was there ever a time you could do that?
No, and that is why I think now, because I didn't have it then, I compensate for that.
Really?
I mean, when people wonder why I always have children around, because I find the thing that I never had through them. Disneyland, amusement parks, arcade games. I adore all that stuff because when I was little, it was always work, 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 from one concert to the next. If it wasn't concert, it was the recording studio. If it wasn't that, it was TV shows or interviews or picture sessions. It was always something to do.
Michael Jackson with hits. You all had so many hits, 4 hits in a row, and you were crying because you couldn't be like other kids.
Well, I love show business, and I still love show business. But then there are times you want to play and have some fun, and that part did make me sad. I remember one time we were getting ready to go to South America, and everybody was packed up in the cars, ready to leave and go, and the plane was about to, and I hid. And I was crying while I was hiding because I really did not want to go. I wanted to play. I did not want to go.
Like I mentioned, he never did birthdays, Christmas, sleepovers, nothing. So what did he do? Built Neverland, collected toys, loved Disney and cartoons, loved to do pillow fights, water balloon fights, playing with water guns, going on his rides. He let his inner child enjoy what he couldn't back then. He would also be playful, pull pranks, and make silly voices. Michael had this whimsy and childlike charm that never went away. He was pure, but on the other side of that coin, lied a genius. A very intelligent man who knew the ins and outs of the industry. He even finessed it, buying 15% of the ATV catalog. He became a very powerful force, and some people did not like that. He was a very powerful person who was a black man. I wholeheartedly believe race had everything to do how scrutinized he was. Just because he suffered vitiligo and appeared white on the outside, that did not erase who he was. People took advantage of him because he was so nice, but eventually earning his trust became harder and harder as the years went by.
What is your greatest lesson learned?
Not to trust everybody. Not to trust everybody in the industry. There's a lot of sharks, and record companies steal, they cheat. You have to audit them, and it's time for artists to take a stand against them because they totally take advantage of them. Totally. They forget that it's the artists who make the company, not the company who make the artists. Without the talent, the company would be nothing but just hardware. I mean, just, and it takes that real gut talent that the public wants to see.
But if you broke that trust, you would immediately be cut off. Michael would be sued left and right just for these people to make a quick buck. He would be betrayed, extorted, sued, accused, mocked all of his life. There was people who thought he was weird because of Neverland and his childlike wonder, thought he was eccentric because he dressed a certain way, looked a certain way, acted a certain way, when in reality, he was a normal person you could talk to. His childhood was stolen from him, and because of that, children became a comfort and inspiration for him. He believed that the children were the future, and they were and still are to this day. He believed that they should receive love and care and to be protected. Don't you? Because I believe that.
Believing in young people. Believing that God gave me this for a reason, to help my babies.
I see beautiful all children. They're all beautiful children. They're so beautiful, and I love them all.
I want to be buried right where the children. I want to feel safer that way. I want them next to me. I need their spirit. I would love to come back as a child that never grows old, like Peter Pan. The happiness and the joy that I see in the eyes of the children, they save my life. So I want to give it back. They save me through my children.
He felt comfort with kids because they never wanted anything from him. They treated him like he was one of them. Michael had this positive energy that drew children to him. He was truly like them. The adults around him either used him or took advantage of him. He couldn't trust adults as much as he trusted children, because children are pure, innocent souls that get taught everything that they know. Hence why hatred is taught, but so is love. A child's mind is like a sponge. They will believe whatever you tell them. They will think certain things are normal and certain things are right or wrong. They believe the same things as you until they become their own person and decide differently. Hence why Michael carried his insecurities and traumas with him until his death. That shit sticks with you, even as an adult. The sight of Joe would make him sick or dizzy. He's thrown up at the sight of Joe before.
He was very strict, very hard, very stern. And just a look would scare you, and...
Were you scared of him?
Very frightened. There's been times when he'd come to see me and I would get sick. Really? I'd start to regurgitate.
As a child or as an adult?
Both.
What have you doing today? I'm scared of my father to this day. My father walked in the room and God knows I'm telling you the truth, I've fainted in his presence many times. I'll say once, to be honest. I fainted once. I've thrown up in his presence because just when he comes in the room, he just aura comes and my stomach starts hurting. I know, I'm in trouble.
He would get tense and guarded around Joe as a reflex. Sure, he had love for his father and forgave him at the end of the day, but those scars do not go away. You can always manage it better, but they never truly leave. Michael would thank Joe and come to understand him a little more once becoming a father, but Michael never forgot about the pain Joe put him through. Michael never put his hands on his own children and children in general.
When he was beating you, did you hate him?
Yeah, strong hate. That's why to this day I don't lay a finger on my children. I don't want them to ever feel that way about me. Ever.
Physically or sexually.
You have said that you would never harm a child. I want to be specific as I can. Did you ever, as this young boy said you did you ever sexually engage, fondle, have sexual contact with this child or any other child?
Never, ever. I could never harm a child or anyone. It's not in my heart. It's not who I am. And it's not what I'm not even interested in that. There was not one iota of information that was found that could connect me.
So when we've heard that there was a marking of some kind.
No markings.
No markings.
No.
Why
am I still here then? The idea just isn't fair. What they put me through, because there wasn't one piece of information that says I did that. And anyway, they turned my room upside down, went through all my books, all my videotapes, all my private things, and they found nothing that can say Michael Jackson did this. Nothing.
But let me ask you
to this day,
questions.
Still nothing.
Let me ask
nothing.
Nothing. I got nothing. People saying, and you've been cleared of all the charges, we want to make that clear. People saying, look, here is a man who is surrounded by things that children love. Here is a man who spent an inordinate amount of time with these young boys.
That's right.
What is a 36-year-old man doing sleeping with a 12-year-old boy, or a series of them?
Right. Okay, when you say boys, it's not just boys, and I've never invited just boys to come in my room. Come on, that's ridiculous. And that's a ridiculous question. But since people want to hear it, the answer, I'll be happy to answer it. I have never invited anyone into my bed, ever. Children love me, I love them, they follow me, they want to be with me. But anybody can come in my bed. A child can come in my bed if they want.
I can say, sorry, I've seen this. I've seen it a lot. I've seen kids. I've seen him with children in the last year. I've seen it enough to where I can see how that can happen. It's, I understand.
Isn't part of being an adult, and you have a 2-year-old child, 2-year-old boy.
Yeah, let me just, sorry.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that I've seen these children, they don't let him go to the bathroom without running in there with him, and they won't let him out of their sight. So when he jumps in the bed, I'm even out. They jump in the bed with him.
That there are not going to be more of these sleepovers in which people have to wonder.
Nobody wonders when kids sleep over at my house.
But are they over? Are you going to watch out for it now?
Watch out for
just
what?
for the sake of the children and for
no,
everything
because
you've been through?
it's all moral and it's all pure. I don't even think that way. It's not what's in my heart.
So you'll
do it
never,
again. Ever. Do what again?
I mean, you'll have a child sleeping over.
Of course. They want. Yes. It's on the level of purity and love and just innocence, complete innocence. If you're talking about sex, and that's a nut. That's not me. Go to the guy down the street because it's not Michael Jackson. It's not what I'm interested in.
He would rather die. It's unfortunate that these allegations followed him in life and in death because it wasn't who he was. There's not only evidence of his innocence, but just look at him as a person. His body language, his actions. He visited children's hospitals and orphanages every time he went on tour and even not on tour. He invited sick, intercity, orphan children to Neverland to feel joy, to feel safe and loved. The world was their oyster. Everything was free, for fuck's sake. And he even had hospital beds in the walls, some cabins made specifically for guests, because he knew there were some kids who were bedridden. That was someone who cared. He donated millions and millions of dollars to these children. He helped out adults too, the homeless, the sick. Michael just wanted the world to heal and be united.
I love to do things for children, and I try to imitate Jesus. And I'm not saying I am Jesus. I'm not saying
we're clear on that.
Right. I'm trying to imitate Jesus in the fact that he said,
to be like children, to love children, to be as pure as children are, and to make yourselves as innocent and see the world through eyes of wonderment and the whole magical quality of it all. And I love that. And we have the children, like we'll have like 100 bald-headed children here who they all have cancer, and they're running around and they're enjoying themselves, and it just makes me cry happy tears that I was able to do that for them. You know, it makes me so pleased inside.
Is that there are built inside the walls here beds, beds for some of those sick children who come. And what I realized when I saw that is that you have to be a person who really cares about children to build it into your architecture.
Yes, yes. We have children that come who are intravenously, they're very sick and they're bedridden, and they
Can't sit up.
Right, they can't sit up. And these beds, they're hospital beds. You push a button, they move up and they move down, and they're able to watch. We have a magic show. We show the current films, if it's cartoons, anything, you know, and anything so they can escape to that world of magic that they don't get a chance to experience, the world that I was deprived of.
Now let me ask you this. You know, I believe everything happens in people's lives for a reason. Do you think that had you not missed a lot of the life and fun and fantasy of childhood, that you would be so in touch with children today? Would you relate to them as you do?
I probably would, but not as much. That's why I wouldn't change a thing. Really? Because I'm happy with the way things are and my caring for young people and everything. Being able to give back, you know, and to help people, Heal the World Foundation, which I formed, which helps children and healing in the world. We're doing Heal LA, which is, we have 3 goals in mind: immunization of children, mentoring, a Big Sister, Big Brother program, and education on drug abuse. And Jimmy Carter has teamed up with us to do Heal Atlanta. And we're going to go from state to state healing. You know, we've done Sarajevo, we've done lots of places.
I know, we have photographs of you from all over the world where you're with all of these children.
You know, when Michael was burnt in 1984, you know, he took the time out of his day, out of his recovery, to visit other burn victims and talk to them and be there for them, and donated all the money that he got from Pepsi to the burn center. No, he wanted no more wars, no more hatred, no more sickness, just love. It's that simple. Hell, I want that. I feel like any normal person, sane person, would want that. I also truly believe he dealt with age regression, which is not a sexual thing, by the way. It's just when someone has a traumatic childhood and, you know, once they grow up, they cope with being childlike and indulging in childhood things. It's a coping mechanism. Something else I wanted to mention is 2 stories I have not heard before and wanted to share them because it shows how traumatized Michael was. This first one is about an altercation that happened between Michael and Quincy Jones. They had been working on Thriller, awake for days because of the exhaustion. Quincy was already on edge. Michael had done something Quincy didn't want, so Quincy snapped. He walked over to Michael, screaming in his face. Michael, disassociated, wasn't looking at Q, but as Quincy described, he felt like as if Michael was looking at him. Quincy stopped, looked around, and looked back at Michael in this state. After a few seconds, Quincy quickly reached out to touch Michael's shoulder to see if he was okay. Michael put his hands up, defending himself. He thought Quincy was going to hit him. They took a break after that, and Michael was pretty off for the remainder of the session. The next morning, though, he was fine, acting like nothing happened. Man, I hope this kid doesn't see me like he does his father, Quincy stated. Second story. This was when Michael was filming Captain EO. There was supposed to be an improv scene. Michael was a camp counselor and he gets fired by his boss pretty harshly. Angelica, his co-star, took Michael by his shirt, her face close. "You insignificant little worm, you're fired." She pushed him back a little too hard to where he slid back onto the floor. Michael was shaking. Even after yelling cut, the shaking hadn't ceased. He became afraid of his co-star. These stories should put into perspective on how awful Joseph was to Michael and his siblings. Though Michael wasn't weak, he stayed strong through everything that became an obstacle. That's one of the traits I admire about Michael. I respect it. Michael and his family came from nothing. 11 people living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house trying to make it work. The one compliment I'll give Joe is that I'm glad he helped make something of his kids, but it doesn't require abuse. Just because his parents were strict doesn't mean you get to pass the trauma onto your kids. Unfortunately, that was super normalized and kind of still is today in some cases. Back then, that was the go-to form of punishment. But in my opinion, those weren't even punishments. It was a form of cruelty disguised as punishment. So you've reached the end of this video. Thank you. My final thoughts is something I say all the time regarding to Michael. Please have some empathy. Please understand the man behind the music. Because if you view Michael at base level, you'll never understand him. Some of you are so laser focused on the wrong things. Y'all choose to believe the tabloids and the media when those are the least reliable. Stop being so close-minded. So thank you guys for watching, and leave in the comments what you think, your opinions, if you agree or disagree. Start a conversation, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.